Good morning, everybody out there in Black CEO world. My name is Robert Antoine, and this is the Black CEO Morning Show. And I call it the best radio show in all of the land, not because of me, but because of you, the support that you offer, and my amazing crew that I've got on my side. I've got the revenue growth strategist, Candace Woodruff, who's here with us. And also, I've got my main man, Silky Smooth, Belton Shower on the scene, y'all. And we want to talk to you this morning about showing up and getting paid on stage, y'all. But before we get to that, man, I just want to find out, how is the crew doing this morning?
Hey, Robert, doing
Amazing.
fantastic.
Oh my
Fantastic.
goodness, I got to tell you, Candace, you look like a baby doll. My goodness, you are looking mighty fine today. You're going to get a whole bunch of DMs after this show. I'm telling you right now.
Thank you,
Woo-wee.
Robert. Thank you.
Oh,
Boy, you
boy.
need to stop. And you got on pearls.
Mm.
Uh-huh.
I love it. Hey, Silky Smooth, man. I don't know about you, but the weather has changed, and I know it's been a while since we've been on the show, but not too
Woo-wee.
long ago, I was in Atlanta, right? And I just so happened to be there on the same weekend that Tyler Perry opened up his studios. And
Oh,
I thought
wow.
that
Yes.
That's
was an
fantastic.
amazing feat to have because back in June, I think he was at the BET Awards. He said, while y'all are steady waiting on stages, waiting to get on the stage, you
Mm,
need to build your own stage.
That's
Not
right.
only build a stage, he built a whole studio. I mean, and when I heard about it, it's about 340 acres, right? Used to be, yeah, and get this, y'all. It used to be a Civil War stronghold for Confederate soldiers, but he was able to purchase 340 acres, and
mm-hmm.
now he has more than 40 acres. He don't even need a mule, but the brother has his own studio. Good gracious! And in the words of Flavor Flav, all I can say is, "Wow,
Yeah, it's
man!"
beautiful. I look forward. I'm actually going to be in Atlanta in a couple of weeks, and I'm actually looking forward to going by and seeing if I could do like a tour. So I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to that. I saw it online. It's absolutely amazing, and I love how he incorporated like really black icons, and
Mm-hmm.
named the studios and buildings after them. I thought that was
Mm-hmm.
amazing.
Yeah,
Kudos to Tyler Perry for that. It's amazing.
He's doing
it
some
is
amazing
amazing.
things down there. It, it's one of the largest studios in the world. So it's
Yeah,
not just a small uh, piece of property. It is, if I'm not mistaken, the largest studio, larger than the studios in LA and other
yeah,
parts of the country and the world. So he's built something that's absolutely spectacular, and I'm real excited about it because he's
yeah.
going to do some great things here.
And I anticipate that there will be some blockbuster events that happen there. I mean, he already has a brand, name recognition, but
Yeah.
I remember I was headed to a concert and I saw Tyler Perry Studios, like the exit has Tyler Perry Studios. And
Wow.
at
Wow.
the time that it happened, it didn't register. I was like, wow, Tyler Perry has his own, exit. And I didn't realize that the grand opening gala was happening that weekend. But after
Oh,
seeing
okay.
everything that was on social media, everything that was on television, I am so very proud of what Tyler Perry has accomplished. And one thing that I believe right now, way down deep in my sha na na, whenever y'all hear me say sha na na, I mean I really shown up believe that, right? I believe in my sha na na that you are destined for greatness, and you can have your Tyler Perry experience by continuing to keep yourself plugged in to the Black CEO Morning Show and walk out, step out on faith. And we've got an amazing guest who's going to help you get there, give you her story, and tell you a little bit about how to get paid while you are on stage. Man.
Yes.
And
Oh,
and
yeah.
as we move forward, though, one thing I want to make sure I do watch the news, y'all, from time to time. I saw something that absolutely just broke my heart. It broke my heart. I believe it was down in Texas. There was
Again,
a
Oh
911 call
yeah.
made by a resident who said, there's not an emergency, but I want you to check things out, right?
Right.
hmm
And there were some officers who showed up, and at the end of the exchange, an African American woman, another African American, ended up dead.
it's a shame. It's
Yeah,
Robert, it's sad because This woman was in her own home playing video games with her nephew, which, I when I heard the story, it hurt my heart because, home is supposed to be your sanctuary. And
Yeah.
this is the second time within the last 60 days that someone's home environment was violated and they
Yes.
lost their life.
Yeah.
It really makes no sense. And Robert, whenever we think someone calls the non-emergency line, and I actually looked at the camera. The policemen have cameras and stuff on them now,
Yeah.
and it just didn't make sense how things transpired and how it just happened. The front door is open. There's a screen on the door, and you don't knock on the door. Instead, you go to the backyard, and you're walking around, in people's private area,
Mm-hmm.
and then whenever they look to see what's going on, now they're a threat. That makes no sense. It makes no sense at all. So it's a tragic story, and I'm really, really praying and hoping that we get some justice out of this. That doesn't seem, it would just be hopeful. I'll put it that way for sure.
Yeah, the only thing that I can say, the decisive action that the police department, they charged the officer with the crime, if I'm not mistaken, and also they took it past administrative leave, or is he still on administrative leave? I think they let him go.
I think they did. I don't want to. The last thing I read, I believe they let him go, but it's, who knows? Everything is politics and on paper. So I mean, they have to
Sure.
look as if they're doing something because it's just so drastic. And then it's in Fort Worth, Texas, so they've had some issues and things like that anyway.
Yes.
And really, it's not just a Texas issue; it's a national issue. It's an issue everywhere. And I just hate that it looks that way. One of the things I also read, Robert, is that they created what's called a GoFundMe account for the young lady and her family, which I believe they raised about $120,000 and counting, that's beautiful, right? But I'm gonna kind of look at it and think about it in this aspect. We shouldn't have to get GoFundMe accounts for funerals. We shouldn't have to do those things. Now, if we want to raise funds to make sure, they get the best services as it relates to, lawyers and stuff like that, that's fine. But for a funeral, I want us to get past that area, especially culturally, to having to get GoFundMe accounts. Let's make sure we got the right protection and stuff in place. So it's so many things. I'm emotional about this one. It's just so many things that goes with that. And knowing that I have family in Texas, and that could have been, my aunt or my cousin or something like that. It just could have. It's so close to home, definitely.
And it's Texas. It might not be Texas. It might be somewhere else in the country because this is unilaterally happening everywhere. And the real thing that doesn't sit well with me is a lot of times these are the people that are supposed to be protecting us.
Right.
And they are the ones that are violating our, as I said earlier, our sanctuary, coming into our homes. I remember growing up that in certain areas, if people were in your backyard rummaging around, somebody might from the house shoot outside.
Right.
So this police
right.
officer's in the backyard moving around, looking around in the dark. This is a single woman living in a house. What would preempt or prevent her from going up in the window and shooting out in the yard? And then it becomes even more of an issue.
Right.
Sure.
Right.
Sure. There's such a double-edged sword, and I hate to go there because we have so much fun and so much energy on the show, but this is something that we do need to address. We do need to talk about, but more importantly, put some action steps behind it. There's some safety things to be involved here. I know everybody's mama done told them, make sure you close my door. You won't let flies in, or I got the AC on. So I don't mean to make light of this, but making sure that your home is secure, and by all means, to your point, Candace, it is an absolute doggone shame that you are in your home. You hear something going on outside, you go to check, like we all do, right? And then when you open up the blinds, there's a flash of light, which is your last flash of light that you get to see on this side of heaven. And I feel really bad for the 8-year-old kid who was in there playing video games. And I feel so much worse for the young lady and her family, because it sounds like she was on the right track. She had a undergrad degree in biology. She was
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
in the medical field, so she was in the business of saving lives. And
Right.
Right.
unfortunately, in this particular
Absolutely.
instance, her life was taken.
Mm.
And
Yeah. And
I
you know, oh no, go ahead, Robert. I'm sorry.
no, go ahead, sister, because you got your pearls. You trumped me today.
Well, I was just gonna say that it makes you think twice about calling the people who are supposed to protect us, right? So when you think about it, it's like, oh well, let me just make sure things are okay. Let me call the police. Let me call the non-emergency line. Let me call the authorities. And then now it makes you think, should I call the authorities? Like, is that something
Mm-hmm.
that I want to do? So
Mm-hmm.
mentally, it begins to make us think a different kind of way whenever we may really need help, and something happens, you don't want to call because you never know what's going to happen when they get here. And I know everybody's not like that, right? Everybody's
Right.
not out here doing those kinds of things, but it just makes you skeptical about it, all within itself.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, sure, sure,
Yeah.
sure. And listen, y'all, as I told you before, I'm just a bus driver. I'm gonna keep this party train rolling. This is certainly a tragedy, but I want to bring you some triumph. You know what? We still have the Black CEO feed, and there are so many people who are participating on the feed. And I just want to give you some love and thank you for being a part of the Black CEO family. The world famous Marsha White, she is still showing up in the Black CEO feed. Candace Camille is still there. So shout out to you. She's helping you get your wellness together, your fitness together. I still can't do a plank, y'all, but shout out to Candace Camille. I want to make sure that Dante Lee knows he is the Malcolm X of our day, and he is always posting in the feed.
Yes.
I want to make sure that you give a shout out to Akia Taylor, who is a friend. She's a sister girl of the show. She is still posting in the Black CEO feed. And my main man, Mr. Barrett Matthews, shout out to you, sir. And I hope that you blow up and glow up in your future endeavors and what you're doing right now. So I want to make sure that everybody goes out to support Barrett. And last but certainly not least, Takesha C. Williams, a part of the show. She is featuring her Get Ish Done conference coming up on November the 8th and 9th. So if you're in the
Yeah.
DMV area, please check her out. And I don't want to steal your thunder, Velvet, but it sounded like I was giving announcements. What I was really doing, y'all, is just telling y'all all the beautiful people that show up in the Black CEO feed. And I want y'all to continue to do that and make sure you support the show and make sure that you show up and glow up. And more importantly, make sure you keep doing what you're doing. At this time, y'all, I want to keep the party bus rolling. I want to do my thing and make sure that I keep myself on time. But right now, I want to bring Silky Smooth to bring you this morning's announcement. Belton Child.
Good morning again, Black CEO Morning Show. And Robert, hey, great job doing what you did this morning. But you know what? Here's your announcements for today. And the thing that I really want you to focus on is growing your business through partnering with entities other than yourself that can help you. We've been talking about the Black CEO Tech Club and the Black CEO Graphics Club and the Black CEO Sales Club. Now, check it out. These three areas are vital parts of the success of your business. You got to have a strong sales component. You've got to have a strong technological backup component. And you've got to have a graphics component that allows you to market who you are and what you do to the rest of the world. The Black CEO movement has put together three clubs, and you can test out each one for $1. $1 allows you to be a part of the club to see if it truly gives you the things that you need to move your business forward. Yes, it's $1, and then afterwards you pay the monthly fee. But where else do you get to kick the tires, take it for a test drive, and see if it works? Only at the Black CEO Tech Club, Sales Club, and Graphics Club. So go into the feed, take a look at the marketing information for each, and test it out. You know, once you take it for a drive, you will not give it up anymore. You will become a member of these clubs because success leaves clues. And if you
Mm.
look at all of the people who are successful, they have these types of instruments in place. So go ahead. Back over to you, Robert.
Whoop, whoop. Thank you so very much, Mr. Belton Shaw. I appreciate those announcements, y'all. Make sure that you go out and check out any product that is put out in the Black CEO family. Because there is some greatness happening there to help you in your business to rise and shine. And I want y'all to make sure y'all support the Black CEO family and its movement and all of the announcements that were just given to you by Mr. Belton Shaw. But at this time, y'all, I've told you so many times that readers are leaders and leaders are readers. So I'm going to bring you my sister girlfriend, Bria Hodge, with her book club minutes.
Hi, this is Taria Hodge, your Startup Accelerator, helping you to serve, share, and shine online. And today we are reading from the book Imagine It Forward by Beth Comstock. Now, I love that Beth talks about in this section, and she opens up with a quote. When you are innovating, tension is the price of admission. And so she's talking about inviting conflict and critics. So know that once you have your idea is going to have opposition. So if you aren't getting criticism, then maybe you should consider that your idea isn't as big as it should be. So are you surrounding yourself with people who are just like you, or are you bringing about a new perspective? So invite a critic to tell you what's wrong with your idea or what you need to make your idea better. This is different from having someone who is negative or someone who is cynical. Cynical people, you don't want to surround yourself with cynical people, but you want to be able to surround yourself with people who are going to give you great feedback. Now, when you work with a team, any sort of team, especially with great power and talent, you will encounter conflict around important ideas and decisions. So make sure your meeting spaces invite healthy debate. If you have critics on your side or theirs, make sure that they are present. Also, be aware of your own responses to conflict and criticism. This is one way that you could identify if you are closed off to new ideas. Healthy conflict is the product of a strong team and trust within that team, and it's a psychologically safe environment to discuss these new ideas. So once again, this is your Black CEO Book Club reading. We are reading from the book Imagine It Forward by Beth Comstock. You could follow along by heading on over to the Black CEO Book Club Facebook group, read along, post your takeaways, and tag me.
Thank you so very much, T Money. That was so informative. And I told y'all again, readers are leaders. If you follow along with the Black CEO Book Club, Cheryl will keep you on POINT with all the stuff that you need to know. But at this time, y'all, I want to tell you that there is somebody on our crew who has something on her mind. So at this time, I just want to bring to you Candace Woodruff. What's your thought of the day, sis?
Absolutely. So my name is Candace Woodruff, and I am a revenue growth strategist showing you how to grow your revenue without using your labor. And, Robert, my thought of the day is very simple. Did you know that worry is just negative goal setting? Yes, I said it. Worry is just negative goal setting. And I say that because in this life, we get what we focus on, right? So if we're always focusing on the problems and we're always worried about how things aren't going great, well, you'll continue to get those results in your life. So if you're worrying a lot, let's focus our time and energy on how things are working for you, what good things are happening. Let's talk about the gratitude that you can find that's happening in your life. And instead of worrying, let's focus on the great things that are going on for you, and let's focus on how things are always working in your favor. That's my thought of the day, Robert. It's back to you.
Whoop, whoop. Thank you so very much, Candace. I felt some William Murphy. I wanted to lean in your direction because everything is working for my good. I love it. I love it. I love it. Thank you so very much, Candace. At this time, y'all, I know that y'all are out there trying to get your business going, but nothing happens unless you are able to first make a sale. So at this time, I want to make sure that you take a listen to Silky Smooth because I know it's going to help y'all to show up, and blow up with his Double Your Sales Minute. Silky Smooth, what you got for us, brother?
Hey everybody, it's Velton Shaw, your strategic sales partner, and your chief strategist. You know, I'm here today. I hope you're enjoying the new format of the show. We changed things up a little bit, and we're coming to you live as a television broadcast now. So my Double Your Sales Minute is going to be a little bit different. You're not just going to hear my voice, you're going to get a chance to see my smile. So we're going to start off by talking a little bit about the selling process and how things have evolved and changed. But even though they've evolved and changed, one of the things that we have to be cognizant of is that not all of the customers that we encounter are going to be of the new way of buying. So there are going to be some people that we still need to utilize the old process to get to them, to reach them, and to be effective in selling them in the way we want to sell. So here's the thing. The 6 steps to the selling process were prospecting, qualifying, overcoming objections or understanding customer needs, presenting, negotiating, and closing. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about those things a little bit over the next few days. We're going to talk with prospecting. We're going to start there because that's the initial contact. That's, you know, you hear me talk all the time about warm calls, not cold calls, but in a prospecting mode, you have to be willing to be daring. You have to be willing to go the extra mile because you're going to deal with rejection quite a bit. You've got to be calculated. You got to know who to talk to and when to talk to them and what you're going to be talking to them about. And you have to be strategic. How can they impact or affect your business? What is it that you're trying to accomplish? If you can do those 3 things, or those 4 things, those are the 4 pinnacles of prospecting. Number 1, you got to be willing and able. You got to be willing to make the phone calls, deal with the rejection. Number 2, you've got to be daring. You've got to call at different times. You got to talk to people about different things. You got to be doing something that other people aren't doing. You got to be calculated. You got to say, hey, you know what? Strategically, I need help in this area, or I need this type of customer. This is the type of customer that I'm going to go after. And you got to be strategic about it. How you go after them. What do you offer them? What are you talking to them about? When are you calling them? Are you calling during drive times or off-peak times? These 4 things will help you in the prospecting mode to gain more exposure, to gain more opportunities, and to position you for the next part of the selling process. We'll talk about that next time. I'm glad you tuned in. I'm looking forward to working with each and every one of you. I'm Velton Cheryl, your Chief Strategist. Transform your thinking. It will truly transform your world.
Silky Smooth, where have you been all my life, boy? You are deep, deep, deep. When I was in the operations manager, I had a sales team. If you could have just given them that 3 minutes, it would have helped change their lives and increase their sales. I mean, those things are so very necessary whenever you are in a sales environment. So I appreciate you so much for giving us tips on how to close and to be able to understand that there are going to be rejections. But the thing that I love the most about what you said is that you got to be daring. You got to be able to do something that everybody else isn't doing, because in social media, everybody sounds the same and there's so much noise out there. But I appreciate you sharing with the people that you need to be daring. So at this time, everybody, my name is Robert Antoinette, and I got a little something on my mind. Candace, I was doing my social media scroll, and I saw one more thing that hit me way down deep in my sha-na-na. Let me tell y'all what it said. It said that backstabbers only have power when you turn your back on them. Let me say that one more time. Backstabbers only have power when you turn your back on them. So what am I trying to tell y'all? Y'all need to make sure you know who's in your circle. You know, it's not so much what people say about you when you're around. It's what they say about you when you're not around. And backstabbers, one more again, they only have power when you turn your back on them. And I know that's right. That is my thought of the day. And I want to make sure that I keep this party bus rolling along. You're rolling on the floor laughing. I just want to just give a shout out to somebody right now. Just let you know that if you send me a text message while I'm doing this broadcast, there's a 100% chance it will distract me and I will laugh. So if you want me to do this thing the right way, don't send me no text message. Don't even say anything to me because I'm gonna start laughing and I won't stop. But we are professionals, so I'm gonna keep this thing rolling along. And I want to make sure that you guys are healthy, wealthy, and why stop it. And I just want to make sure that at this time, I want to bring somebody who can help you attain your wealth. So with our wealth minute, I want to bring to you the cutie pie and pearls, Candace Woodruff. What is your wealth minute?
Hey Black CEOs, Candace here, your revenue growth strategist showing you how to grow your revenue without using your labor. And this is your Black CEO Wealth Minute. So I want to tell you about Sandy. Sandy had this beautiful home. She decked it out with all of the finest things, right? Inside of her home, flat screen TVs, nice couches, all the works. And one day she decided to go to work and to leave a candle on at her house. When she left that candle on, it fell and it caught the house on fire. About 70% of her house was burned before the fire truck and everybody got there. And this required the insurance company to pay Sandy for her losses in the house. Well, guess what? The insurance company was only going to give Sandy $5,000 for all of the fancy losses that she had. So Sandy was already frustrated, and I told her, I said, Sandy, don't worry about it. You did a video of all of the things in your home and all the things that were there. So pull the video out from your email and send it to the insurance company so that you can prove what you have in your home. Well, guess what? Sandy's claim went from $5,000 to $15,000 worth of losses in her home when that house caught on fire. So what am I telling you, Black CEOs? I'm telling you to make sure that you do a video of the items in your home. If you have the VIN numbers and all those things, do the video of what's there. You don't have to talk it through if you don't want to, but it's good if you do. And actually put that video in a safe place. You can save it in your email or put it on a flash drive, whatever it is. Just make sure you do a video of the items in your home so that if there's a catastrophe that happens, you have proof of the items in your home. And you don't want to be like Sandy, right? You don't want to have that situation happen, but if it does, you are prepared. So Black CEOs, this is Candace Woodruff, your revenue growth strategist, showing you how to grow your revenue without using your labor, and this is your Black CEO Wealth Minute.
Whoop, whoop, not a whole fire. Thank you so much, Candace Woodruff, for keeping us upfront and personal with what we need to do with our assets. I really, really appreciate what you share with everybody, and I think I may do that right now. I'll probably have some fun with it, pointing out all the stuff that I've got. I don't know if I have receipts anymore, and I don't know if I can find the VIN numbers, but it's great just to catalog it, right? Is that kind of the point of the message? You want to make sure you do that?
It's just making sure that you have it on camera, so it's proof that you have it. So the insurance companies don't want to give you the actual money if they say, oh, you just made that up. Well, if you have the video, you didn't make it up. You had proof that it was there, and you could get more money if you have a catastrophe happen. So absolutely, Robert.
Awesome. So what I got from that was I cannot add a few more Gucci coats and like a whole Lamborghini. I can't add that to the whole. Is that what you're saying?
That's what I'm saying.
Okay, all right. Well, you know what? I would never do that, nor would I suggest anybody in the Black CEO tribe to do that. But you heard it here first. If you take a video, it will help you to make that insurance conversation much smoother, and it's an easier transition. But at this time, y'all, I want to keep my hands on the steering wheel, and I want to tell y'all about another brother. This cat right here is so deep, y'all. I'm just going to get a pen and a pad. I want y'all to get ready to hear the thoughts in the mind of Silky Smooth. Y'all know him as Belton Shaw III. What you got, brother?
Good morning again, Black CEOs. Good morning, Robert. This is Belton Shaw, your chief strategist. And today is this. My thought of the day is success never goes on sale. You have to pay full price up front in advance every time. That's right. You got to put in the work. And a lot of times the work is not easy, but success is there if you keep pushing through. That's my thought of the day. Back over to you, Robert.
Woo, woo. Thank you so much, Silky Smooth. I told y'all the brother is deep. The brother is deep, deep, deep. I love to just hang out with Velton, man. You know, he's the type of cat that you can just pull up, bring a cigar if that's your thing, get yourself a bottle of something or a glass of something. Just sit back and listen to this brother just Why die, right? Talk to y'all. Talk to the people. Man, if you're my
Bring two
pastor, you can
cigars.
have
Don't
all
just
of my
bring
tithes
one.
in office. Huh?
Bring two cigars. Don't just bring one.
Well, listen,
You
brother.
may need three, guys. Excuse
Uh-oh,
me.
here we go. Here we
Make
go.
Keep it together now. Keep it together. Don't try to leave. Don't try to leave the women out. Okay. Don't try to leave us out.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I definitely don't want to portray a boys' club because we are a family. Somebody needs to
Absolutely.
cue some Sister Sledge music because I want to make sure all the sisters are here with me. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So, Candace, you are definitely invited, but just sit back, take a listen. Whenever you hear Velton Shaw and the thought of the day, just ah. Rock with it, lean with it, because it's about to be showed up good. But at this time, y'all, I want to keep both my hands on the steering wheel and bring you one of the segments that I happen to do. And I want to bring y'all the leadership minute. So I'm going to try to multitask and do 5 or 6 things all at the same time and feel like this. And one more thing. These 4 words are probably the most dreaded words to hear at the end of a business meeting. Y'all know the infamous staff meeting, the business meeting, the update meeting. We've either been in one, sat through one, or slept through one. For Black CEOs, if you are planning to run the meeting, here's what I need you to know, and here's what I need you to do. So listen closely. If this is a planned meeting, you owe it to your team to send an agenda before the meeting. That's right, before the meeting. If you send it 5 minutes before the meeting, that doesn't count. See, the idea behind sending the agenda is to steer focus for you and the participants. For the stronger teams and organizations, a pre-meeting agenda forces everybody to prepare, to engage, and maximize the time during the meeting. So here's the next thing that I need you to do. Please, please, please start on time and end on time. Because in life, people waste a lot of time on things. They waste food, they waste talent, but that's your problem. Please, my brother, please, my sister, don't waste my blank time. Enough said about that. Also, if you want me to listen, you better feed me. That's right, I said it. I don't care if it's fruit, power bars, or full spread. If you want to have their full attention, there's nothing like a little something to nibble on during the meeting. If you don't believe me, just think about what you do at the movie theater, huh? That's right. It is always better with some popcorn, some candy, some nachos, and I know that's right. And the last thing I want y'all to do is poll your peeps at the end. It can be a simple question that asks, what did you get out of the meeting? Or ask the team to give you feedback. And this, of course, allows you to gauge who is listening and see if your meeting had the impact that you envisioned, right? So in conclusion, if it's your meeting and you want to maximize the time and have the greatest impact, number one, send out that pre-meeting agenda. Number two, start on time and end on time. Number three, feed your people. And number four, have that exit interview. And when you do these things, Mr. and Mrs. Black CEO, you begin to lead like a boss. And I know that's right, y'all. So I want to keep this party bus rolling along with all of the crew. We are all here live and living. I'm doing so many things right now, but if I have an opportunity, I want to make sure I start shouting some people out, y'all. We have so many people that are in the Black CEO feed and in the Black CEO tribe. So I know I didn't prompt y'all or give y'all any warning that I was about to do this. But if there is somebody you want to shout out for their greatness or being big, bad, and bold, I love this screen right now, by the way. I just want you to shout them out. So, ladies first, who you want to shout out this morning, Candace?
Well, I am going to shout out Chrissy Anderson, who consistently posts inside of the Black CEO feed. She's awesome, as well as Dr. Linda A. Barnes. She is always showing up and being there and always here with us. So shout out to you ladies on today. Yeah, for sure.
Yep. I know that's right. And right now, Silky Smooth, I can't wait to hear you, who you going to shout out this morning.
I'm going to shout out a former member of the Black CEO Morning Show and the planking expert extraordinary, Candace Camille. Because you know what? I'm like you, Robert. I don't plank, but that girl can go. I'm telling you.
Wow. Thank you so very much for shouting out Candace Camille because I know what a plank is. I've seen it done, but I would never try it in public. Whenever
That
you're on
thing's
stage
cool.
with Candace, she will make you get on stage and do a
Mhm.
plank. So if you are out
Yes.
there in the Black CEO family, Candace Camille is the bomb.com. But if you don't have some jogging shoes on, if you didn't drink some water, she is going to make you get on stage. She is going to make you blank. So y'all need to know that before you get on stage with her. But at this time, I want to give my shout out of the day. And I feel so honored to be able to shout this person out. Actually, I got two. Number one, I want to shout out my man Shay Brown for doing the number one late night show in all of America with the Happy Entrepreneur Show. So shout out to you, Shay. But my for real shout out this morning, Candace and Belton, is my girl, my sister girl, Cheryl Wood. She is always on stages. She is showing up, blowing up, and glowing up. And she happens to be our speaker for today. But I just want to make sure that I shout her out because she is so very busy. Y'all don't know how long it took for me to actually to get her to stay in one place so we can bring her on the show today. But I am so glad that she's going to be a part of our show. But I am shouting out Cheryl Wood at this time. And as we move this thing along, somebody out there, if you are sitting, you better get your pen and you better get your pad. I'm going to use my real serious John Maxwell voice. This is going to be good. I want to make sure that wherever you are, if you want to be good, you want to be on stage, I've got one person who can help you do that. If you remember in the Black CEO feed, we asked a poll question and we asked, what do you want to do differently in 2020 in order to increase your business, in order to increase your brand, and to make sure you maximize your revenue? Overwhelmingly, the one thing that everybody seemed to acknowledge and say that they want to do better in 2020 is to get on stage. You heard us talk about Tyler Perry earlier, who said so many of us are waiting to get on stage. So he went on and built his stage. But if you want to get on stage and be paid, I can't think of anybody else in the country, and I mean this sincerely. Look at me right here. I can't think of anybody else who can help you to show up, blow up, and get paid speaking on stage other than this wonderful and amazing woman. She locally hails here in the DMV area, so I get to see her every now and again in the Wegmans and in the glitzy Grey Poupon aisle. But other than that, every time when I do see her, she's on stage. She's been a part of the Success Women's Conference. She has her own podcast. She has a great event that's coming up in November that I suggest that you go out and check out and support. But I want to present to some and introduce to others for the very first time on the Black CEO Morning Show. Put your hands together, get your ears, your pen and paper ready for the amazing, incomparable Cheryl Wood.
I am here. Can you guys hear me fine?
Loud and clear.
Fantastic. Well, first of all, can I just say that that I go to, because you made me sound real, all of that and some more. So thank you so much for having me. Look, I'm super excited. I'm here with the Black CEO Morning Show. All about peace. I love everything that you guys are doing. I love what you stand for. And I love that you are educating individuals, men and women who are in business, just like you and I, to be able to share their voice more powerfully, more consistently, and to get booked on more stages so that your profit margins can increase, right? So can everybody just say to yourself, I will not leave any money on the table going into 2020. I will not leave any money on the table going into 2020, because sometimes when we hear these presentations, we think, well, it's not applicable to me because I don't want to be a full-time speaker, or I don't want to be a full-time motivational speaker. And I'm just going to free you right now and let you know, if you are in business, you are a speaker. Because what do? You articulate a clear, concise, compelling, and hopefully captivating message to somebody at some point that is going to allow them to be able to shift the trajectory of their life, which means you're going to be converting them from just perhaps a raving fan who loves what you do to a paying customer. So it doesn't matter if you want to do this full time or not. You are indeed a speaker. All right. So jot that down. Keep that in your mindset that I'm a speaker, whether I'm talking one-on-one to a potential customer, whether I'm talking to a group in a small, intimate setting, whether I'm doing a mastermind, or whether I'm on a stage in front of hundreds or thousands of potential customers. Okay. So what I want to do in my limited amount of time, there's so much I could teach you. I do a 12-week training on how to get booked and highly paid to speak. And we got to condense that to about 20 minutes of content. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you my story, because it's important that we not only understand where someone is now, but where they come from, so that you can understand that it's also possible for you no matter where you are. And the second thing is I want to give you some really, really juicy nuggets that you can use so that you can indeed get booked on more stages. All right, so the story goes like this. Now I have all these fancy titles, right? And it's beautiful and it's sexy and it looks great. And everybody's like, oh, I want to be there, But the reality is it didn't start there. If I took you back just 9 years ago, I was going to a cubicle every single day as a legal secretary. And how many of you know that we do what we know how to do until we are bold enough, courageous enough, willing enough to interrupt our norm and do something different? So in 2009, I made a decision that I wanted a different reality. I no longer wanted to go and punch a time clock on somebody else's job. I wanted to give myself 3 critical freedoms: time freedom, financial freedom, and creative freedom. And I knew that entrepreneurship was going to be the door that allowed me to walk into those 3 freedoms that I desired so much. Now, I didn't know all the answers then. I didn't know the how. I just knew what I wanted. So for those of you who know you want more, you know there's something else that you're supposed to be pouring into the world. You know that you want to leave a legacy, and you have a desire, a deep desire to touch and impact other people's lives. Then guess what? You can just get started where you are. It doesn't have to be perfect. We got to eliminate perfection paralysis, right? We're not moving anywhere. We're not doing anything because we think we're supposed to have the full blueprint before we get moving. So in 2009, I said yes to me. Yes to me no longer existing in life, but starting to live life by being able to take control and power of what I was doing with my life. And so what I did, I started a business, a t-shirt business. T-shirt business was called Moms Are the Best. It was connected to something I love, which is motherhood. I'm a mom of 3. I have an 11-year-old, a 12-year-old, and a 15-year-old. Y'all pray for me. And at the time, though, back in 2009, they were babies. I mean, I felt like I had 3. I have 3 babies who were all in car seats. And I wanted to be actively present in their lives. At the time, because of my job schedule, I was dropping my kids off at 6 in the morning at before care, picking them up at 6 in the evening at aftercare. And here's the crazy part. I was giving them the worst parts of me. Even though I said they were the most important in my life, I gave the best of me to the job I went to. I took the smile, I took the good energy, I took the great personality, I took all that to the job, and then came home and gave the worst of me to my husband and my kids. And that just was not okay for me. So I started this t-shirt business. I kept my full-time gig. I would go out on the weekends. I would sell t-shirts. Okay, I would try to sell t-shirts. Sometimes I did. Sometimes I didn't. Sometimes it was successful. Sometimes it was whack, but I just kept going. Guys, there is power in getting started. 18 months later, no, it didn't happen overnight, but 18 months later, I got a call from Morgan State University. They had heard about the t-shirt business and invited me to come in and speak at their annual women's conference to teach other moms in the Baltimore community how to start their own businesses. When they called me, I said, you have dialed the wrong number. You ain't looking for this, Cheryl Wood, because I wasn't a speaker. I didn't view myself as a speaker, didn't see myself as a speaker. But when you are in business, hello, repeat it after me, you are a speaker. Somebody's eventually going to want you to come in and talk about what you know, your life experiences, your expertise. Someone's going to want to hear a message from you at some point. So I said, yes, that was September 18th, 2010. And since then, I have never looked back. It has just been blazing the trail full speed ahead. And I started to speak on as many platforms as I can. And sometimes we have to broaden our range and our perspective of what a platform is. So this is their first nugget. Platform is not just, oh, I'm in a conference room or I'm in a big ballroom talking to hundreds or thousands of people. A platform is any space where you are speaking and you have a listening audience. Hello. Any space where you are speaking and sharing a message and you have a willing listening audience that you aren't holding hostage. So that might be a conference room. That might be a boardroom. That might be a webinar. That might be a boot camp event. So there is a variety of ways that you can share the power of your voice. Okay. Make sure that you identify that there is power in you sharing your voice on multiple platforms. So I'm going to give you some of the juicy things that I did to go from Cheryl Wood, who was a legal secretary for 15 years, to breaking that cycle and being able to truly live my best life and starting to get booked on more stages. And I went from people paying me with a ham sandwich and a thank you to speak to being able to earn upwards of $10,000 to go and speak on people's stages for somewhere between 45 to 60 minutes. Y'all, can y'all say woo, woo, woo to that? Okay. So here's the stuff. Here's some of the things I did. This is going to bless you. I'm going to give you some juicy, juicy stuff. Number one, y'all, first of all, you got to have what I call a get booked worthy presence. You have to have a get booked worthy presence. And what that means is you need to make sure that you have some fundamental things in place so that people are seeing you and they want at least to inquire more about who you are and what your message is. That means look at all of everything that you have in your digital footprint. Your website. Is your website reflective of you being an expert, you being a pro, or does it look like a website that you threw together and that you didn't invest in? And it's not reflective of the expertise and the value that you bring into a space. That matters. People don't look you up in on the yellow pages anymore. My kids have no clue what a yellow pages is. People are going to Google you. What do they find when they Google you? Same with your social media presence. Does your social media presence say, I am an expert in something very specific? Or does your social media presence say, I just talk about anything and everything just to get some likes? Like your social media presence should be solidifying what your core expertise is so that you are getting booked. It is not a place just to post, oh, what I ate for breakfast. And that's fine. You can post what you ate for breakfast, but it should somehow connect to what your brand DNA is. So if I post photos of my kids and I'm like, oh, hey, I'm out doing this, this, and that with my kids, it connects to my brand because a big part of my speaker brand is that I am balancing and juggling multiple things in my life. A marriage of almost 20 years. I'm juggling motherhood with 3 kids, 2 in middle school and 1 in high school. But yet I'm still making time to make sure I serve the world with my unique gift. Why? Because I owe it to myself and I owe it to the world. Right? So that makes sense for me to share that picture of my kids so that people can say, wow, if she can be married, if she can have kids and she can still grow an international brand, maybe I can too. So just make sure that how you're showing up is connects directly to what your brand DNA is. Some other things, you guys, your speaker sheet. Is your speaker sheet a speaker sheet that says, yeah, I'm get booked worthy? Or is it a speaker sheet that, again, you created and you threw together in PowerPoint or on Word and everybody can tell that you put it together instead of investing in having a professional graphic designer to create that for you so that it speaks to the 2022 version of who you are, not the current version of who you are. Come on. I don't want that to go over nobody's head. I need your materials and how you show up and your visibility to speak to the 2022 version of who you are, not the current version of who you are, because we all should be pressing to become better than we are today. What about your speaker reel? What about your YouTube channel? These are fundamental things that you got to have in place so that people can find you. They can do their due diligence and say, yes, this person, this woman or man is worthy of being on our stage. All right. Number 2, you got to have clarity, guys. You got to have clarity about who you are, what you do, what your expertise is, so that you are seen as a specialist, not a generalist. I'm gonna give you some really powerful, potent questions that you can ask yourself as you're thinking about showing up and serving in the world, okay? So outside of clarity about your signature talk, your signature story, what the pain is of your audience, these are some kind of deeper thought questions. Number 1, what specific struggle have I experienced in my life that my audience will relate to and they're currently struggling with? This is so key because none of you are just getting on any platform and just talking. When you're talking about speaking, speaking is different than talking. Speaking is speaking into people's lives, which means when you're speaking into someone's life, you are making them aware of something that they can have on the opposite side of the pain that they're currently experiencing. But the best way that you make the connection is by being able to share with them an experience that they relate to and that you connect with. So always remember this, your story and your struggle is your connector with the audience. And then your success, all the stuff, great stuff you've accomplished, that becomes your credibility. So your story and your struggle is your connector, but then your success is the thing that becomes your credibility. So what's that thing that you struggle with that they're currently struggling with? Here's why that's key. Because the more you're on platforms sharing that and you're making a deep connection with the audience and you're captivating them, not just spilling out content, not just word vomiting on them to show them how much you know, but you're actually engaging. What happens is your presentation now goes from a head-to-head presentation to a heart-to-heart presentation, meaning you're touching their heart because now they can see themselves in you, because you're not just sharing your success, but you're saying, hey, but I've been where you are now. So I get you. I understand. And let me share with you that there's a way out, that there's something on the other side of the pain you're currently experiencing. When you can talk to people, like speak into people's lives that way, that becomes engagement. That doesn't just become a speech, that becomes engagement. So you have to ask yourself that question. Okay. Number 2, what challenges did you face and overcome as it related to that specific struggle? Number 3, what did you learn along the way? Number 4, what steps did you take to overcome the struggle? Because your steps, this is key, your steps are going to become the how-to content that you create, so that you take people from inspired from the stage to transformed after the stage. Oh, write that down. Somebody, come on, I'm giving y'all juicy stuff. Literally, when you give your speech, guys, when you give your speech, that is just the first step. That is when you open people's eyes up and they're like, oh my God, they're in a trance and they're looking at you and listening to you. And they're saying to themselves, oh my God, that's what I want. That's what I want. You ever been to a speech and you said, oh my God, that's me. She's talking to me. Or maybe you had somebody come to you after a presentation and they said, I know it's 300 people in this room, but you were talking to me. Like, that's when you know you have hit the heartstrings of people. You've made a heart-to-heart engagement with them, a connection with them that allows them to see themselves in you, which means they can see themselves on the other side of what they're currently going through. So from the stage, you're empowering them, you're inspiring them, you're equipping them with the idea that, oh my God, I have hope now, that what the pain I'm in right now, I don't have to stay in this pain. But they don't get the prescription to it just because they heard you speak on stage for 40 minutes. The prescription to the pain comes when they say yes to what happens next. I call it your NSI. What is your next step invitation? Your NSI. What is your next step invitation after you finish the speech? Why? Because transformation never happens from a 45-minute speech. Sorry. People have aha moments. People are enlightened. People are motivated and inspired and filled with hope. But the transformation happens when they say yes to working with you after they hear you speak. And that's when you go into profit zone. So if I go to the gym today and I go in, I could talk to a trainer, a personal trainer, and that person could give me a real juicy, good speech about what my body could look like. Oh, Cheryl, we can slim you down and you can have, these abs, amazing abs, and we could do this and do that and contour your body. And I'm like, yeah. But if I walk out the door after the great speech and I don't sign the contract or give them my credit card, what happens? I stay in the same pain that I walked in the door with. So my transformation only happens when I say yes to taking the next step. So what is your NSI? What's your next step invitation to the audiences that hear you? And last but not least, number 5, you guys, what specifically am I going to offer my audience that they can apply immediately in order to overcome the pain? So it's very important that from every stage, every platform, that you give them some call to action to do in that moment. Like something that they can do, whether they sign up for an additional program, whether they take a next step or not. Give them something that they can use to be better than they were when they first came through the door. So for some of you, maybe you'll take away from this the fact that you need to go back and you need to look at your fundamentals. Like, is your website on point? Do I have a professionally designed speaker one sheet? Oh, and let me say this one. Do you have a professional headshot? Please stop sending these fuzzy headshots to people. Talking about, here's my headshot. That is not high resolution. That is not professional. It's you out in the front of your yard and you took it with your cell phone. And it's a tree. I can see the tree in the background. Like, guys, that's the first thing that people are going to look for. And that's what they're going to ask for when they're booking you to get on stage. Can you please send us over your professional high resolution headshot? And can you please send us over your bio? Which means you need to have a brief condensed bio that's somewhere between 100 to 150 words that they can quickly implement into their event program. They can put it on their website. It's quick. You should not be getting these things ready. They should already be ready so that when the call comes in, and the call will come, as long as you keep showing up and you're consistent, the calls will come. As long as you keep showing up on social media, you keep doing the Facebook Lives, you keep sending out the newsletters, you keep getting out and networking, you keep submitting the speaker proposals, the calls will come. So don't question if it's going to come. It's okay, I'm just waiting. When it does show up, I'm ready. You want to make sure that you're ready. All right, let me give you some other juicy stuff. Y'all ready? I hope you're keeping up with me. All right, there are really 2 primary ways to get on stage. Number 1, you're either going to get booked, or number 2, you're going to create the stage yourself. I mean, it really is that simple. You're either going to get booked or you're going to create the stage yourself. There are 4 primary types of speaking engagements. Y'all ready? Number 1, there's paid speaking. Number 2, there's speak to sell opportunities. Number 3, there's what we call revenue share opportunities. And number 4, what we call list building opportunities. Those are the 4 primary types of paid speaking opportunities. And I'll kind of give you a little bit of information on each of those so that you can understand how they translate. All of them translate into being paid. Please write this down before I go into deeper explanation. Every speaking engagement is a paid speaking engagement when I am intentional and strategic. Hello. Every speaking engagement is a paid speaking engagement when I am intentional and strategic. So let's talk about number 1, paid speaking engagements. So paid speaking engagements, typically they're going to find you one way through various platforms, right? So either maybe they saw your video or they saw your speaker reel or they heard you give a presentation somewhere else or they heard a webinar, they saw your social media presence, whatever it was, right? And they say, hey, we want to book you. We want you to come in and speak for our organization on this topic. What's your speaker fee? This is where so many speakers get stuck because you've never practiced saying your speaker fee. So you either don't know what your speaker fee is because you haven't settled down and solidified it, and or you're just like, well, look, I don't care. I don't have no fee. Whatever you pay me is what I'm going to take, which is the wrong approach, right? So you're just like, as long as you got a budget, I'm there. That's the wrong approach. And then for some of you, when you do express your speaker fee, you don't express it with confidence that says you believe that you're worthy of it. And if you don't believe you're worthy of it, then I sure as heck don't believe you're worthy of it. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to solidify right now, what is your speaker fee? And I'll give you a little bit of help with that, with making that decision. The beautiful thing about the speaker industry is there's no set scale. Oh, you have to start here or you have to start there. But you don't want to outprice yourself out of the marketplace, right? You don't want to price yourself beyond the competition. But you also don't want to be the lowest thing on the marketplace. So typically speaking, if you're someone who is a new or emerging speaker, meaning you're starting and maybe you're within your first, 2 to 3 years, most organizations are probably going to have a budget to pay you of somewhere between $1,000 to $2,500. That's kind of your startup fee. Then when you get to the more experienced levels, you're going to start getting booked more in between the $5,000 to about $7,500, sometimes upwards of $10,000. And then when you're in the seasoned fee, a season space, then you're be able to command 10,000 and up, right? So most of you are probably right at the startup fee. So somewhere between $1,000 to $2,500. Now, look, we're doing heart work, but we're not doing physical heart surgery. So some of y'all gotta get over your own ego. Well, if they don't pay me $5,000, then I'm not gonna go. Okay, then you're gonna be a speaker who's speaking to yourself at home. Because you cannot call yourself a speaker, but you're not speaking on nobody's stage. I'm sorry. I don't know any speaker who says I'm a professional speaker, but you haven't been on a stage in 5 months, 6 months, because you're rejecting every opportunity that comes instead of negotiating. So instead of rejecting opportunities just because it doesn't pay you your full speaker fee, learn the power of negotiation. There are certain things that you can negotiate that still equate to what your speaker fee is. So I'll give a quick example. If someone calls me and says, well, Cheryl, what's your speaker fee? And I say, well, my speaker fee for a keynote is $10,000. And they say, well, we don't have $10,000 in our budget. Now I turn it over to them and I say, well, tell me, what is your budget for the speaking opportunity for this particular event? And they might say, well, we only have 5,000. Okay, 5,000. All right, well, look, I think we can work with that. First of all, I'm going to get that $5,000. Hello, to speak on somebody's stage for 30 minutes. So I'm going to go get the $5,000, but then I'm going to negotiate so that more value is added to me that makes up for the additional $5,000 that they're not able to pay me. How do I do that? In a couple ways. Number one, I'm going to ask the company, do you have a professional photographer that's going to be on site? Okay, great. Well, what I'd like to do is I would request that I send you a Photoshop list of specific photos that I'd like to have your photographer to take that you will provide me afterwards within 10 business days of the event that I can then use in my marketing materials. Hello, you could pay $1,000 for a photographer. So now that you've added $1,000 worth of value back into your bank account, right, or into your business without actually expending those funds. Then I might say, well, are you also going to have a professional videographer on site? Okay, well, what I would like to do is have that professional videographer to be able to video my entire presentation and provide me with a final full cut video of my keynote presentation that I'll also be able to use in my marketing materials and as a part of my speaker reel. Guys, that could be easily another $2,000 that's added on. And then I might go into further negotiations and ask about the opportunity to be able to sell a package from the front of the room that the attendees will be interested in purchasing, so that I, again, create the difference between the $5,000 that they're paying me and the $5,000 that I need to earn. Does that make sense? So you can earn your full speaker fee at any speaking engagement if you're intentional and you're strategic. It's just about negotiation. So you got to know your fee. So decide what your fee is going to be right now, here and now, today, and then state that fee, practice it. My speaker fee is, my speaker fee is, my speaker fee is, and I want you to say it out loud to yourself 10 times every day for the next 30 days. So that when the conversation happens and you're on the phone with the decision maker or in person with the decision maker, and they say, so what's your speaker fee for this keynote presentation? Oh, my speaker fee is $5,000 for a keynote presentation. You're not fumbling and stumbling and appearing that you don't know what you're doing and appearing that you lack confidence. All right, let's go to number 2, speak to sell. Guys, this is a beautiful, beautiful space to play in, because you can go into a speaking engagement, a platform, and you could actually earn more from a speak to sell than a paid speaking gig. So let's just say, let's go to $2,500. And let's say that your speaker fee is $2,500. And the company says, well, we want you, but we can't pay you. But you negotiate the opportunity to sell a package from the front of the room or from the stage. Well, just imagine, let's do some numbers. Let's imagine there are 200 people in the room. And typically most speakers will close 10 or 20% of the room. So let's just go with the lower part. Let's say you close 10% of the room, which is 20 people. If you sell a package that's $500 to 20 people, hello, you just generated 10 grand. And I'm actually doing the numbers on my calculator so y'all will know. Okay. Hello, 10 grand, but your speaker fee was only $2,500. So a lot of times you can walk out of the room with more money from a speak to sell opportunity than from a paid opportunity. Maybe you say, well, my package isn't $500. Okay, let's go back to the 200 people. You close 10% of the room, which is 20 people, and let's do half of that. And your package is $250. You've still generated $5,000 from what? 30 minutes on stage, 40 minutes on stage. So it's very, very important that you have programs, packages, offerings that you can extend beyond just what you say from the stage. Okay. Last 2. Number 3, rev share. So this is when an organization says, hey, we're not gonna pay you to speak. We're not gonna pay for your flight. We're not gonna pay for your hotel. You got to get here on your own, but we're gonna put you in front of 5,000 people who are your target audience, 1,000 people who are your target audience. But whatever you sell in the room, we'll give you opportunity to sell in your workshop or sell from the stage, front of the room. Whatever you sell, we're going to get a percentage of that. So most percentages that I've seen for rev share have been either 60-40 or 70-30, meaning whatever you earn, you're going to keep 60%. The company, the organization, the group, or the conference is going to get 40%, or you'll keep 70 and they'll get 30%. Why would you say yes to that? Because what's the opposite choice? Is to say, oh, I don't have any speaking engagements at all. Like if they're gonna put you in front of your target audience, 500 people, 1,000 people, that's your target audience, and say, have at it, and you can sell them whatever your package is. So what's the big deal with being able to do a split, right? You're keeping the bulk of it. So don't automatically say no to a revenue share opportunity, because it could be great revenue. And then last but not least, list building. List building is critical because look, the more people that you have in your list, the more people you have to market to. The more people you have to market to, the greater the percentage of people that you're going to close. All right. I'm going to give you these 6 primary methods, guys, that you can use to get booked on stage. And I'm going to start wrapping up. I know my time is coming short. There are 6 primary methods that you can use to get booked on stage. Are you guys ready? Number 1, referrals. Number 2, proposals. Number 3, direct connections. Number 4, your online presence. Number 5, spinoffs. And number 6, repeat opportunities. I'll say those one more time. Number 1 is referrals. Number 2, proposals. Number 3, direct connections. Number 4, your online presence. Number 5, spinoffs. And number 6, repeat opportunities. So let me touch on those quickly. So for referrals, right? We all have heard the expression, it's not what you know, it's who you know and who knows you. So oftentimes, if you have a great reputation and you've been showing up consistently, people will start talking about you. There will be a buzz about who you are, which means you have to treat every performance as though it's your last performance. Anytime you get an opportunity to be on a platform, whether it's on the Black CEO morning show, it could be for 5 minutes, or whether it's on a webinar, or whether it's on a television interview or a podcast interview, always give it your greatest energy. Always come with your best, juiciest stuff, because you never know who's listening. And you don't know who's listening, who can then offer an opportunity for you to be able to come and speak for their group, their organization, their conference. I'll give you a prime example. This was probably 5 years ago. I was invited for a fellow entrepreneur. They had this training course that they did for their clients, and they asked me to come in and do a session. I didn't get paid. I did it as through a webinar. 6 months after that, I get a phone call from one of the attendees who was a participant of this group session. And I find out that the person has a senior level position in a major corporation and was the decision maker for bringing in speakers. That organization booked me 4 times and paid me my full speaker fee 4 times from a free webinar that I did just as something to be able to continue to share my voice in the marketplace. So it's very important that you don't minimize the value of referrals. Your best marketing will always be a great presentation, how you show up. So pay attention to how you show up. Number 2, proposals. So this is when you are being intentional about putting yourself out there in the marketplace. So you're going to get online and you're going to go to Google and you're going to do a search for call for speakers, for women's empowerment conferences, for financial conferences, for whatever it is that it is your expertise in the realm you want to play in. You're going to do call for speaker search. And what's going to happen is Google is going to pull up this long list of organizations, companies, conferences, trade shows, events that are looking for speakers. Now, I'll tell you this, most organizations and companies and conferences, they book their speakers somewhere between 6 to 8 months before the event. My SpeakerCon event is in November. I book speakers back in April. So it's always a space of time between 6 to 8 months that you should be looking for in the future for opportunities. And what you should do is keep a somewhat of an editorial calendar that lists out the conferences that you really want to speak at, because you can't hit a target that you never set. You can't hit a goal that you never create. So you need to have in your mind, here are the top 10 conferences I want to speak at, or here are the top 10 venues or events that I want to be able to be invited to as a speaker. That way you have something to work towards. And then you put the name and the dates that conference or event takes place, so that you can backtrack 6 to 8 months and start looking for their speaker call, especially if you know that it's an organization that has a call for speakers. Okay, that's a great way to get in front of more people and to get on more stages. You put the work in, you submit the proposals. Okay. Number 3 was direct connections. This is leveraging the people that you know. Like, you need to be telling everybody that you know and love and like and all of that. Hey, I'm a professional speaker. I speak on this topic. So, I know that you are the president of the local homeowners association. Could I come in and share about 10 minutes on this topic? Or, hey, I know that you run this local book club. Could I come in and share a message on this specific topic that I believe would add great value to your book club group? Or whatever it is, or you have a women's group, a women's organization, or a men's organization. Like, you have to be intentional about letting people know that you are a professional speaker and showing up and offering the opportunity for you to come and serve them. Sometimes you will serve, let me say this, sometimes you will serve first and you will monetize on the back end. Sometimes you will serve first and you will monetize later on the back end. There have been conferences I went to, they didn't pay me. This was like years ago. They didn't pay me to speak, but I ended up getting so many clients who signed up with me afterwards that it made it so well worth it. So don't automatically say no to something just because you don't get the return or you don't get the harvest right now in the moment. When you plant a seed, that seed doesn't sprout immediately. Most times you got to plant it and you wait, and there's a time of watering and all that, and then the seed sprouts. So you need to treat your speaking business the same way. All right, number 4, you guys, your online presence. Again, we talked about this a little bit earlier, making sure that everything that you're posting it's relevant, it's relatable to the needs of the audience that you've identified as your target audience. Make sure that you are speaking appropriately for the platform that you're on. So when I'm on LinkedIn, I'm not referencing religion. I'm not referencing God. I'm not referencing politics, because that's not the space for that. That's a corporate space. When I'm on Facebook, my conversation is a little bit different. I tend more to incorporate God and my faith and beliefs, right? Because it's appropriate for that platform. So you got to make sure that you are playing in a space that's appropriate for the platform that you're on and who you're trying to magnetize to you for those engagements. I'm going to give you guys a juicy resource. There is a site called Gig Salad, which is GIG SALAD, like a salad, gigsalad.com. Gig Salad is one of those, it's almost similar to a speaker hub, which if you're not familiar with that, you can go to speakerhub.com. It's an online platform that allows you to be connected to people that connects to people who are looking for speaking and engagements and looking for speakers. Okay, everybody got that? Gigsalad.com and speakerhub.com. Last two. Number 5, spinoffs. Spinoffs are when you are able to book 2 or 3 speaking engagements from one. So you always want to do things that intentionally position you and align you to be able to get more spinoffs from one engagement. So one of the ways that you can do that is asking the person who booked you, the organizer or the planner, hey, would you be willing to refer me to 3 other organizations who you know would gain great value from this presentation? The other thing that you can do is in your presentation, in your speech, you want to mention that you do this presentation for other organizations and other groups. You could simply say, I love when I have the opportunity to share this particular message about effective communication. I love when I have this opportunity to share this with educators. I've shared this on stages with attorneys. I've shared this in groups of youth advocates, whatever it is. But you're incorporating in that little spiel some of the other groups that you speak for, because you want to awaken the audience's mind to the fact that you don't only speak to that group or that type of industry. Does that make sense? So those are ways that you're seeding so that people know they can book you for other groups. Last but not least, you guys, number 6, repeat opportunities. This is when an organization loves you. The people love you. They love your presentation and they want to invite you back. This is the best type of speaking engagement you can have, is a repeat opportunity. Why? Because you've already established your credibility. You've already established your credibility
because of the noise.
And I'm sorry, we got technical stuff going on, guys. So forgive me. So you've already established your credibility and now they're bringing you back because the people who heard you are just raving about you and absolutely love what you bring to the table. That's my spiel for today, guys. I hope that it's added great value to you. I'm going to turn it back over to the Black CEO Morning, folks.
Woo!
Woo woo! I love it. You heard the infamous, the incomparable, the amazing Cheryl Wood. Thank you so much for being with us and giving us your time and being on this show. I know that the co-hosts are out there. They have some questions to ask of you, but if you are watching this broadcast right now, please enter your question in the feed and we will make sure that Cheryl gets it and she will respond back to you. So if you have a question about showing up and growing up and being on stage, but more importantly, getting paid to speak on stage, make sure you're posting your question in the Black CEO feed. We want to hear what you have to ask, and Cheryl would love to help you blow up and grow up in your business. But before we get to anybody out there in our listening audience, I want to bring on the fantabulous, dressed in pink, Candace Woodruff. Do you have any questions for the amazing Cheryl Wood on this morning?
I do. So amazing job, Cheryl. Just amazing information altogether. So I have 2 things. Earlier you said in your story, you said, well, I wanted 3 types of freedom. Can you repeat those 3 types of freedom? And then I have another question after you repeat that.
Yeah. So time freedom, financial freedom, and creative freedom. I didn't have any of those 3 things when I was in the corporate space. I didn't own my own time. Somebody else owned my time. There was a cap put on my salary because I didn't have a piece of paper that said I was smart enough to go beyond that legal secretary role. And then my creative freedom. So every day that I came in, my creativity really was stunted because I couldn't express the fullest version of who I was. I had to stay in a box of what they told me that I had to be.
Absolutely. That's beautiful. Okay. So my second question, to kind of go into that. So when you were just getting started, there were some things that maybe didn't go as planned. So if you could go back and tell your younger self something, just any piece of advice, what would you tell your younger self as an entrepreneur, that you didn't know at that time? What piece of advice would you give yourself?
Yeah, I would tell myself to value what I know and who I am much sooner. It took me a really long time to find the value in my voice. That's honest. I mean, I grew up in poverty. I grew up in an inner city housing project in Baltimore, Maryland. So a lot of my background as my childhood, really made me feel like I was less than. And when you grow up in that environment and everybody's expecting you to become just another statistic, it's very hard to pull away from that mindset that you deserve more, you deserve greater, that you can be great in the world, and that other people need what you have. So it took me a long time to get through the self-limiting beliefs and my own just negative head trash about the fact that, yes, I deserve to be on stages and platforms speaking life into other people, and that I don't have to be perfect to be that person, that I can be what I call powerfully flawed. I can be imperfect. I can be flawed. I can not have it all together, but that I can still have a core expertise that will bless the lives of a specific segment of the population, and that they are waiting for me to show up.
That's good. That's good. Awesome.
Wow. And Silky Smooth, I know you've got a question for Cheryl.
I have a question. You know, Cheryl, you hit a topic that is so important for especially starting speakers, but even people that have been in the speaking business for a while. You have people around you, your family, your friends, when they hear that you're a professional speaker and they hear that you're going somewhere and you're speaking for free. The first thing they want, you're speaking for free again? When are you going to get paid? And I love the presentation where you told people the value of making sure, even though you may not be getting paid your speaker fee, there are ways to actually make money. Can you touch on that just a little bit more? Because I want to make sure that
Yeah.
wives, their husbands, their significant others, and say, well, look, you're doing all this work and you're not getting paid.
Yeah. Yeah. That is, look, I have a husband. My husband and I have been together for almost 20 years. My husband thought I had lost my ever-loved mind when I said I was going to quit my good government job that paid me direct deposit and benefits, and I was going to go out here and speak. And he like, oh, and people going to pay you to do that just to talk. And then, and then to say that was going to happen and get out into the world and it wasn't happening, I was just like, are you kidding me? So I think he thought I was crazy. I think for a while I thought I was crazy. But what I learned is the power of longevity, the power of sticking with it until you cross the finish line. And I just don't think that anything worthwhile is ever going to happen overnight. You have to plant. I tell every client I work with, plant so many seeds that you lose count. This makes me emotional because, man, I planted some serious seeds in my first 3-4 years. When I tell you, I used to go to events and they told me they won't have a check for me, and they didn't have the check for me. And I had used my last $10 to put gas in my tank. And then I had to go back home and tell my husband I didn't get the check. Like, I mean, this journey has been real, but I know who I'm becoming. And I know that I deserve the best, to live the very best life that I can live, which means I've got to divorce myself from what's familiar. I got to divorce myself from what I already know how to do. I know how to go to a job every day. I know how to show up on time and stay there from 8 in the morning to 5 at night and depend on a every 2-week direct deposit. I know how to do that. So God was like, okay, now I need you to do something greater and bigger because you're meant to have greater impact in the world. And that's going to require that you get uncomfortable. That's going to require that you do things that scare you. That's going to require that you do things that make some people around you mad, and they don't understand. But I'm giving you this vision because I know you're equipped to carry it out. So when I just kept going back to that, I just didn't let anybody else get up here. I already had my own head trash I was fighting with. I couldn't take nobody else's head trash on. So I just kept showing up and showing up. And here's the thing. The more you show up and believe in it, there's something happens. There's a shift that happens that eventually the people that are around you like, well, shoot, I might as well stop fussing because she ain't going to stop or he ain't going to stop. So I might as well just stop fussing about it. But if you come home and you act defeated because you did a free gig, and you come home and you're like, you're sucking your teeth and you're depressed and you're sad. No, you should be happy that you just got the opportunity to use your voice to touch and transform somebody else's life. And I know we want the check to come with it. And I promise you it's coming. But you got to be willing to sow and sow and sow and plant so many seeds that eventually you get to a place and you turn around and look, you be like, oh, sookie. The harvest is coming in. The harvest is coming in. And then you can stand powerfully and say, God, I know I belong here because I have done the work. I have done the work. I have shown up. So I know I belong here. So for those who might be struggling with your spouse who's asking for, where's the check? Look, the reality is you owe it to them. You do owe it to them to come home and to bring something home that adds value to their life. So I would never, I challenge us to not say we're free, because we're not free. I'm not going to do a free speaking engagement. I am going and I am sowing into my big dream. I'm going and I'm sowing into my big dream that's going to transform my life, my family's life, and everybody who comes behind me. So I'm sowing into my dream. Not, I'm going to do another free speaking gig, because that sounds yucky. Nobody wants to feel like they're working for free. So I think it's how we frame it. It's how we show up. It's how we come back home. And then it's becoming intentional about making sure that we did everything possible to make that an engagement that generated some type of revenue. So some of us are not getting the revenue because we're not putting in the effort to make sure we get the revenue. And I'm saying that from firsthand experience. I used to go speak at an event, not get paid, and then have the nerve not to have nothing to sell. What? So whose fault is that? That's my fault. That's not the organizer's fault. That's not my spouse's fault. That's my fault. So you got to ask yourself, are you showing up prepared? And are you showing up and negotiating? Are you showing up with a book to sell? Are you showing up with a package to offer? So some of us, we still crying broke because we're not claiming responsibility of making sure that we generate the revenue that we have the potential of generating.
Ooh-wee. Cheryl Wood that came up here and preached the whole sermon. And everybody say amen, because she done stepped on my toes. I passed something around in the collection plate, Cheryl. The check is in the mail. But I just have one question, because you were talking to me when you said powerfully flawed, right? And most of us who are in this space, we want to show up as a subject matter expert, because it is a competitive field where everybody seems like they're fighting for the same nickel. We're all on the same social media platforms. How do I get recognized? Pick me, pick me, pick me. So they feel like they have to be perfect, right? Yes. But what I've found the hard way, it is that in your imperfections is where you have the greatest level of connectivity. So I know when you talked about that, I just had flashbacks of some times, some scenes, and some moments in my life. But I just want you to just speak on briefly, like, you don't always have to show up, everything coiffed in. There are going to be some things along your journey that you can share with people to allow the larger audience to connect with you, because sometimes we get turned off by somebody who's got it all going on. Everything is together and they made X amount of money. Well, I can't relate to you because I'm not there yet. So talk to people about your phrase. I'm gonna steal that too, by the way. I'm telling you now. So if you hear it on my Facebook Live, powerfully flawed, I'm gonna give you credit one time, then every time after that, I'm just gonna be great.
It's yours. It's yours.
Yes, ma'am. Please speak on that to the people.
Oh, that's so good. That's so juicy. I mean, I think a couple things. I think that there are some people who are attracted to people who appear perfect. There are some people who are attracted to people who look like, who don't look like, but actually have, they got everything going on and they look pristine and put together. And some people are attracted to that, but not everybody's attracted to that. But that's why it's so important that all of us share our voice, so that the people who are attracted to us and magnetized to us based on what we bring to the table will get exactly what they need. See, I can't go out in these streets trying to look like my profile picture on Facebook every day, because it just ain't happening. I don't have the time. I don't have the energy. I got 3 kids I'm taking care of. I got a husband that wants some, and I'm like, babe, I'm trying to go to the speaking gig. I mean,
be real, Cheryl. Be real, Cheryl.
Right? I just came home. I'm tired. Now I got to put some makeup on and look cute for him. So it's work. This thing is work, and so you're not gonna catch me at the local Starbucks looking like my profile picture on Facebook. Like, you're gonna get a whole different look. So the people that I attract and magnetize are people who are that expression, who are powerfully flawed, who understand that life is not always put together. Life is not always, the way it looks on Facebook or social media. That's just a snapshot of a moment in my life, but that's not my full life. So I want to magnetize those people who don't expect perfection. So we don't take anything away from those people who walk in that space of, oh, I have it all together. There's an audience for them. But then there's an audience specifically for you that's going to be magnetized to your voice. And then when you talk about that part, that just hit home for me when you said, everybody's like, oh, pick me. Look, here's the best thing that any speaker can do. Stop fishing in the local pond and start fishing in the global ocean. I'm going to say that again. Stop fishing in the local pond and start fishing in the global ocean. Like, you got to expand that net. I promise you, there are so many opportunities beyond just your zip code, your city, your state. Hashtag get on an airplane and go somewhere. Get on an airplane. Take your message and your voice beyond. I mean, this year I did my first International Women's Conference in Paris, France. Hello, I ain't never been to Paris. I don't speak French, and I ain't know nobody in France. But I knew that God was saying to me, Cheryl, you got to cast the net wider. You're meant to have a greater impact. So let's do this thing. I don't care about you being scared. It ain't for you. It's for them. So it's not about, you got to take your ego out of it. So, okay, I'm scared. I'm supposed to be scared. It's uncomfortable. It's supposed to be uncomfortable. All right. I don't know if nobody's going to show up. Oh, well, I'm going to do everything I can to make sure they show up. Like, that's all you can do. And then the rest is just what it is. Last year, I got to go to South Africa and pour into the lives of young girls that look like me, to remind them of the power of their voice. The year before that, I was in London. I was in India. Like, come on now. Like, I started from the girl from the hood, to the girl who was the legal secretary in a 10 by 10 cubicle at a desk for 15 years, to now the girl that's traveling the world and exposing my kids to what global impact looks like. So for some of us, we got to stop trying to just raise our hand right here in our own zip code. And you got to start raising your hand globally so that you can touch more lives than you could ever imagine. 7.5 billion people. And you mean to tell me somebody don't need to hear your voice, your message, your story? Are you kidding me? 7.5 billion people in the world. And you mean to tell me it ain't enough money for you? Are you kidding me? Like, we have to reassess our own mindset about what's available. And I promise you, abundance is available, but it ain't never going to come and find you. It ain't never just going to fall in your lap. No, you got to go out and find it. You got to go out and you got to create such a buzz about who you are because of your energy, your passion, your drive, your work ethic. Like, they like, man, every time she show up right. Or he show up, every time he show up, he give it all. And when you get that reputation, what happens is you start to dominate in the space that you're in. You ain't just dabbling. You're not just playing in it. No, you're dominating in it. And everybody wants a piece of you. But that started. And so that's my world today. But that ain't how my world started. So I need people to understand it's about being in the process for the long haul. Y'all, what do I have to go back to? Woo! Seriously, what do I have to go back to? What you going back to? Once you know you got a voice, once you know you have a story, once you know people waiting on you to show up, what are you going to go back to? Once you have that knowledge, you can't go back. I can't go back to Cheryl Wood in a cubicle. I can't go back to that. Because there's too much I've been exposed to. So I challenge everyone to expose yourself to what's possible, expose yourself to what's available for you, get out and do things that scare the heck out of you. If it's not scaring you and you ain't gotta put in more than you get out for the moment, it probably ain't even worth it. It's supposed to, it's called a risk. It's called a risk for a reason. A risk means you probably putting in more than you initially get out, and you hoping you get a return on that investment. Yeah, that's what a risk is. So we got to take that.
Good.
Thank you so much, Cheryl. We love that you have shared so much with us. I'm going to call you Pastor Cheryl. Pastor Wood next time I see you. Prophetess Wood. But we got 120 seconds left. So real quick, I know so many people are watching. Your impact, your influence that you've made in the short amount of time that you've been with us. But please tell the people what is the best way to reach out and touch you. And I also want you to mention your gala that you have coming up real soon. So please tell everybody in Black CEO world how to get in touch with the Cheryl Wood.
Yes. So you can connect with me all across the social media platforms at Cheryl Empowers. Cheryl Empowers with an S on the end. You can Google me, Cheryl Empowers. You can go to my website, CherylEmpowers.com. But I'm all things Cheryl Empowers. And yes, I am prepping. I'm a few days, 16 days away from SpeakerCon. It's my inaugural convention and conference and awards gala that is specifically the space for professional speakers, new, emerging, and seasoned, and people who are verbal communication experts, radio personalities, activists, advocates, to come and celebrate the fact that all of us, every one of us, we are transforming the world one word at a time. We'll be honoring some dynamic folks. We're going to be honoring 6 Speaker Legend awardees, which will be Mickey Taylor from Essence Magazine. We're going to be honoring Gloria Mayfield Banks. We're going to be honoring Linda Clemens. And then we're honoring 3 men, Dr. George C. Frazier, Della Toro McNeil, and Brother Bedford. So just good stuff. We got to have these spaces where we we keep the momentum, build the momentum, and keep the momentum for the fact that your voice is needed. Somebody needs it, and you cannot keep it to yourself.
Wow, thank you so very much, Cheryl. You know, you've been like Aunt Jemima, maple syrup, and you just get it all over the pancakes. It's all over everything. Cheryl empowerment all over everybody. And I love, love, love. So what we want to do right now, y'all, we want to end it the same way we do always. I want to give you an opportunity just to shout yourself out, say your name, and then at the end, I want you to say Black CEO out, because we always get together and we want to make sure that the family is represented. So even if you're in your car, if you're at home, if you're on your job in your cubicle, I don't care. You can shout out loud right now, because Cheryl said that your destiny is waiting on you. Your greatness is waiting on you. But first, in order to get to that place, you got to say your name, where you from, and then say Black CEO out. So I'm going to count y'all down from 3, and then I'm going to get you to 1. So even if you're in a cubicle, if you're on your TV set, if you're at home, wherever you are, I'm going to count you down from 3. And when I get to 1, just say your name out loud. Say it with your chest, right? Say where you from, wherever you represent, and then say Black CEO out, because you are a Black CEO and we want to be out. I don't know where y'all go, but we got to get up out of here. So 3, 2, 1. My name is Robert Antoine Washington.
Candace Woodruff,
Black
Arkansas,
CEO
Black
Maryland.
CEO out.
Black CEO out.